Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं स्वं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं हरिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निधि नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay. You are on which verse? Hare Krishna. You are on which verse? It's eternally in 6th chapter. Forever in 6th chapter. I told Gaur Vilas Prabhu, I'll finish off 6th chapter for you today. So he told, even if you finish, I'll restart. So 68, 28.
28.
28 is over? 28 we will start. Good. Right. Yunjanevam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha sukhena brahma sansparsham atyantam sugamashnute. Thus the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Sukhena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukhamashnute. Purport. Self-realization means knowing one's constitutional position in relationship to the Supreme. The individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme, and his position is to render transcendental service to the Lord. This transcendental contact with the Supreme is called Brahma Sansparsha. So, that happiness lies beyond matter is understood by all transcendentalists, isn't it? There are different categories of transcendentalists, is it not? There are impersonalists, then there are yogis, and then there are devotees, isn't it? So, everybody accepts that happiness lies in transcendental realization, that happiness comes by going beyond matter. But the thing about Bhakti Yoga is that the devotees have this understanding that happiness actually comes through serving the Supreme Lord, while the impersonalists, Brahmawadis, they try to derive happiness simply by going beyond the sufferings of this world. But the devotees, they look for happiness in the positive transcendental service of God. You see, this understanding should be given. See, in India, if you ask somebody, what is moksha? What is the answer that they give? Okay, I'll ask you people. Why go so far? Immediately. Say, okay, what do you mean by liberation? Raise your hand one by one, don't shout. He is raising hand. What is liberation, young man? What is his name? Neil. Neil. What do you mean by liberation? Yes? What do you mean by liberation? Define liberation. Raise your hand and define liberation. Yes, sir.
You come out of the reincarnation, the process of reincarnation. You come out of that. So there's.
Oh, yeah. You come out of the cycle of repeated birth and death. Very good answer. Anyone else? What is liberation?
Free from all worldly desires.
Free from all worldly desires. Very good, Mataji. What else? Come on, you people. Give me answers.
Free from this material world.
Huh?
Free from this material world.
Ah.
And moving to spiritual world.
Okay, free from the material world and moving to spiritual world. Who else? What?
There are different type of moksha. Liberation.
What are
One
they?
is to merge in Brahma.
Hmm.
And second is to go in Vrindavana.
Hmm.
And third is to serve the Krishna. Whether you are in Vrindavana, whether you are in this material world, just serve the Krishna.
Okay. What else? Anyone else?
I would say liberation means non-attachment to
Oh,
anything in the world.
very nice. That's
You
a
are,
very
you are in the world, but you are not attached to anything in the world.
good, nice answer. Anyone else? Someone else. Yes, what's your name?
Mudit.
Okay, tell me.
Develop unconditional love with the Lord.
Wow. What do you do?
So, like my material,
Yeah.
I'm pursuing CA.
Acha, I thought you were in school or something. You look quite young. So you chant Hare Krishna? How many rounds? Very good. You already know a lot of things. Yes, Mataji, you raised your hand there.
Surrender.
To surrender is liberation. It's a wise audience you have here. See, generally,
Ready when you are. What's on your mind?
so, so generally, if you ask in India, some of you give that answer also here. People say freedom from material existence, or they say freedom from suffering, and actually it's a fact. Freedom from repeated birth and death is liberation. Freedom from suffering is also liberation, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. So, the general understanding of liberation, mukti, is freedom from the negative. That's the understanding. So, if you go to Nepean Sea Road, in Nepean Sea Road there's one wine shop, and the name of the wine shop is Moksh. See, people can relate to moksha. At every level they can relate to moksha. If you by drinking also you get moksha. Because you forget all suffering. Isn't it?
But that's temporary.
Yeah. So that liberation is freedom from the negative is incomplete understanding of liberation. See, so that's why most of the time people who are aspiring for liberation are people who are going through a lot of suffering in life. So they're going through so much of suffering. Abhi thoda mukti chahiye, liberation chahiye, and then they come for Gita class and all. Maybe a lot of you people might have started your spiritual journey wanting liberation, and I'm of the same category. Everybody, most of us, and there's nothing wrong with that. But somebody who is going through good life, they don't look towards liberation at all because they don't have a positive understanding of liberation. The understanding of liberation should be not just freedom from suffering, but it should also be happiness in the positive direction. As some of you pointed out, it's not simply liberation from miseries, liberation from freedom from repeated birth and death, but also entrance into the joy of service to God. There's a complete understanding of liberation. When you present liberation in its full form, then even people who are going through a good material life will be attracted towards liberation. Isn't it? But if you only give a partial understanding of liberation, that it is freedom from suffering, a person who is not going through suffering right now, he will say, no, I don't want liberation. Why I want liberation? I don't want liberation. So that is why Prabhupada he used to say that the impersonalists, because impersonalism grew in India because of the influence of Shankaracharya, that's why materialism also increases. Because materialism means what? You are finding happiness in material existence, in material life, and you don't want freedom from that kind of a happiness, do you? You don't want. So, for people to turn towards spiritual life, we need to present liberation in its full scope. So, 5 kinds of liberation. Mataji also said something along the same lines here, that Sayujya liberation is just one of the 5 kinds of liberation, that is becoming one with the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Lord. Sayujya Mukti it is called. Brahma Sayujya. But then beyond that there is Salokya, Sarupya, Sashti, Samipya. So these liberations are positive engagements in the service of God. See, for somebody who is going through a lot of problems in life, they just want to go to sleep, because when you sleep, you forget everything. But if you're given a choice, whether you want to go to sleep or you'd like to whether you would like to go to sleep or you would like to attend a party, a nice party, you will go for a party rather than going to sleep, isn't it? So similarly, when you have a complete understanding of what mukti is all about, then spirituality becomes a more positive affair and you are more enthusiastic to turn towards spiritual life. So that is why, and Srimad Bhagavatam, it openly explains how there are other kinds of liberations also, not just Sayujya Mukti. So that is why in the Gita also, when now here in this particular verse, Krishna is simply saying, Sukhena Brahma Samasparsham Atyantam Sukham Ashnute. The happiness comes from touch with Brahman. It's spiritual by nature. And it is Atyantam Sukham, extreme degree of happiness that the soul experiences. So actually, per se, there is no mention about loving service to God in the verse itself, if you read the Sanskrit. But then in the translation, Prabhupada, he says that constantly engaged in yoga practice becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So Prabhupada in the translation, he includes transcendental loving service of the Lord, which is not actually in the verse. So many times people who are more scholarly, they object that which is not in the verse. Why is it that Prabhupada is artificially including it in the translation? Actually, Prabhupada is speaking out the heart of Krishna, the mind of Krishna. And he is doing a great benefit for all of us by mentioning these things explicitly. Right? So these verses speak about that kind of happiness. As long as we are sadhakas, is there happiness on the spiritual path? Or is there happiness only when you attain perfection? Is there any happiness while we are on the spiritual journey?
Yes.
What happiness are you experiencing?
The joy of serving itself is a happiness.
Very nice. What else?
Peace of mind, satisfaction.
Okay. What else?
Association of devotees.
Association of devotees in itself, happiness. Very nice.
There is a feeling of bliss in the name itself.
Yeah, this names. Very interesting. Any other thoughts on this?
So something is there beyond this material world, yes, who are watching us, who are guiding us, so we will attain perfection by spiritual path.
Okay.
You live in the moment and you don't think of your destination. You soak the moment and you cherish and feel the love and the presence in that moment.
Okay. Very nice. So all these.
Guruji, I would like to request you to please clarify us on the three concepts: happiness, contentment, satisfaction, and bliss. How do you differentiate it?
See, these are used many times interchangeably also, contextually.
But you may be happy, but you may not be contented. May not be enjoying the bliss.
I think I have spoken a little about it in a previous session here.
Yeah, I was not here. I was the first session I'm coming.
You're coming for the first time?
I'm coming the first time.
Okay. See, basically happiness is at different levels. At different levels we experience different degrees of happiness. I think I had quoted this before in one of the sessions, but for your benefit I'll just tell something. That according to research in the field of positive psychology, there are three kinds of happy lives. One is a pleasant life, another is a good life, and the third is a meaningful life. Pleasant life is the happiness that we experience by bringing the senses in touch with objects of the senses. The external gratifications of this world, that gives rise to pleasure. And then there is another level of happiness that we experience, which is a good life, which comes through keeping our intelligence occupied in an activity that absorbs us. That's a good life. And the third is a meaningful life, which comes by serving a purpose that is beyond us, serving something greater than us, something that is beyond us. So even according to research in the field of psychology, when it comes to overall life satisfaction, a meaningful life contributes the most to happiness. The least contributor is a pleasant life. The superficial happiness that comes through contact of the senses with the objects of the senses. That doesn't touch the heart. It touches the senses, but doesn't go deep. What really goes deep is a meaningful life, wherein you're going beyond yourself to serve something that is larger than you. And actually the Gita speaks about this kind of happiness. The happiness that comes through selflessness. The happiness that comes from serving God. Putting God in the center of our life and taking ourselves out of the center of our life. And when we put God in the center of our life, then we put everything connected with God. We make the object of our service God and everyone connected to God. And who is connected with God? Everybody. All living entities are connected with God. So a person who is truly God conscious serves God and serves everything and everyone connected with God. And that gives truest bliss to the soul. That is true happiness. And that can be safely called as true satisfaction of the soul. Happiness that we experience at the superficial level, that's not really happiness. It's very temporary, and so is a cause of misery, it's a cause of suffering, according to the scriptures. So true happiness comes from service to God, and through God, service to all living entities. That's where true happiness comes from. Anyway, so what I had in mind was this. All of you gave very good answers regarding happiness. As sadhakas, how we can find happiness. But there is something very interesting in the 15th chapter of the Gita that comes. Okay, Krishna in the 15th chapter is explaining using a metaphor, material existence. He uses the example of a banyan tree, an inverted banyan tree. Life in the material world is compared to an inverted banyan tree. Correct? We are stuck in this banyan tree. So have you seen an inverted banyan tree? Where is it?
The water and the reflection.
Yeah, it's a reflection. Correct. It's in the reflection. So material existence is a reflection of true life. It's not reality, it's illusory. So our existence is situated within the material world, which is compared to an inverted banyan tree. And then Krishna explains how in order to get out of the entanglement of this material existence, we need to cut down this banyan tree of material existence. Dradena chitva, isn't it? He uses this word. Yeah, third verse. Narupamasya tatopalabhyate nantuna chalena sampratishtha ashwattamenam suvirudhamulam asanga shastrena dridena chitva. With the weapon of detachment, one should cut down this strongly rooted tree. And then Krishna, he explains how the living entity is entangled. how the living entity is passing through the different species of life. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. So the living entity is transmigrating from one form of life to another, to another, to another, to another. And in this way, the living entity's entanglement is endless within material existence. But the illusory energy is so strong that most people who are stuck in material existence, they don't even realize that they're bound, that they feel that they are free. And so Krishna says, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. So the first step in getting out of the entanglement of material existence is to become enlightened with knowledge, true knowledge. And how to become situated in knowledge and begin our journey towards liberation from material bondage. That Krishna starts explaining from text number 12. Yadadityagatam tejo jagadbhasayate khilam yatchandramasi yatjagno tattejo viddhimamakam. The splendor of the sun which dissipates the darkness of this whole world comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. And then Krishna explains, I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables, and the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. Now what do these descriptions have to do with gaining knowledge? That question should come into our mind. Now Krishna explains that unless Pashyanti Jnana Chakshusha, Krishna uses this phrase. From Charma Chakshu we should develop Jnana Chakshu. Charma Chakshu is eyes which are made of flesh. Jnana Chakshu is eyes of knowledge. We should start seeing with the eyes of knowledge. And when we start seeing with the eyes of knowledge, that's when our liberation from material bondage will begin. Now, these verses, how do they help us develop the eyes of knowledge? See, the point here is Krishna is trying to impress upon us how he's doing so many things for us already here, right? He's telling the splendor of the sun which dissipates the darkness of the whole world comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. So sunlight, we see it every day. Moonlight, we experience it all the time. And we use fire for so many things. Electricity is also kind of a fire. So if only we become conscious that Krishna is behind all these resources that we are experiencing on a day-to-day level, that's the beginning of our spiritual journey. Krishna is explaining here. See, oftentimes people in this world, they turn towards God wanting something from Him. So these verses change that conception. We should turn towards God to thank Him for what He's already doing for us. And when we develop gratitude for what God is already giving us, then we'll be inspired to start serving Him. See, all the knowledge in the scriptures can be divided into 3 things, 3 broad categories: Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayoja. Sambandha Gyan, Abhidheya Gyan, and Prayojana Gyan. Sambandha Gyan means, what is the relationship? What is the relationship between the living entity and God? What is the relationship between God and material nature? What is the relationship between material nature and the living entity? Understanding these relationships is what Sambandha Gyan is all about. And most of the time in this world, even people who are so-called spiritual, they have this Sambandha Gyan wrong. Oftentimes people feel that my relationship with God is an order supplier. God is like a waiter. I go to a restaurant and I order this, and God has to supply. While on the other hand, actually we are supposed to serve God rather than we wanting to take service from God. If you don't have this Sambandha Gyan clear, then what happens is a lot of times people take to the spiritual path. They might even chant the names of God and apparently follow all the rules and regulations. But still, in due course of time, they feel that I've been doing so many things. Why isn't God doing this for me? Why isn't God doing that for me? Because they don't have the Sambandha Gyan in place. When you have got the Sambandha Gyan in place, you have this understanding very clear that rather than God serving me, I should be serving God. So when the Sambandha Gyan is clear, then all our spiritual practices will move in the right direction and we'll be able to make fast progress. And then what other Sambandha? Sambandha between me and material nature. Most people, they feel that I am meant to enjoy material nature. That's our relationship with material nature. Everything that is available in material resources are meant for my enjoyment. But true Sambandha Gyan is everything is a property of God and everything is meant for His enjoyment. And I am supposed to facilitate His enjoyment by using every resource of material nature in His service. So even if we are following some kind of spirituality, but if we don't have this understanding very clear, and we still feel that everything in this world is meant for my enjoyment, then what happens is in due course of time when you start experiencing misery, then you again start wondering why I have been following the spiritual path, still why I am experiencing misery. Because the root cause of misery is you are trying to enjoy the resources of this world, while in fact you are supposed to use everything in the service of God. So these verses in the Gita also open our eyes towards the Sambandha Gyan. That we should understand that God is already doing so many things for us. He's already doing so many things for us. See, this principle of gratitude is a very important principle. Even in the material world, even to lead a happy material life, we need to have gratitude. We need to cultivate this attitude of gratitude. See, according to research in the field of psychology also, it's explained that if you're going through a lot of negativity in life, it's recommended that every day you write down 3 unique things that you are grateful for in life. Krishangi, what are you grateful for? 3 things.
Family
Hmm.
and Krishna consciousness
Hmm.
and Prabhuji.
So, okay, she told 3 nice things today. So tomorrow again you have to come up with 3 unique things. Okay. So day after tomorrow again 3 unique things. In this way you have to do it for 21 continuous days. So when you do it for 21 continuous days, so this is called a gratitude journal. If you keep a gratitude journal and if you do this exercise for 21 continuous days, then you can rewire your brain to become positive once again, according to psychology. Now how does it work? See, initially it wasn't easy for her even now. She started thinking of a family, then Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji. Tomorrow, 3 unique things, which is distinct from what she wrote today. So again she has to dredge her memory. Okay, this. And then after a week you'll find it more difficult. See, initially what comes to your mind on top of your head, off the top of your head, is like the tip of the iceberg. Alright. But then after 1 week, then you start wondering what other things should I be grateful for. Then you go beneath the surface. Then you go to the real iceberg, beyond the tip of the iceberg, and then you realize that the real iceberg is beneath the tip. There are so many things in life to celebrate about, to be grateful about. See, yes, in life we have to focus on the problems that we are meant to solve. But many times we are so occupied with solving a problem, and when we are focused on a problem, we are in a negative space. We are focusing on something which is not going right, or we tend to focus on things that we don't have or we want to achieve. And being so preoccupied with things that we are supposed to mend or which we don't have, we fail to acknowledge so many things that we already have, and so many things that are going right in our life. Isn't it? Oftentimes it happens to all of us that we are so much preoccupied with so many other problems, and suddenly our health goes for a toss. And when our health goes for a toss, then you start feeling, ये health ठीक हो जाए, बाकी सब ठीक है. But initially, because you took your health for granted. See, my mother, she was leading a good life. She had led a very healthy life. Now she is 76-year-old. And then I have been telling her, she is a devotee, I have been telling her, chant Hare Krishna. You should read Bhagwat more and more now, because you're growing a little old now. You should chant more, you should read more. But then she used to always, see, Maya is so powerful. See, all of you people, you are worried about your kids, I believe. Our Anuji is worried about Krishangi's, what will happen to her, what proper career. Which class are you in? 10th standard. Okay, then he's thinking, right now his worry is, let her get into a good college or something like that. When she gets into a good college, then he'll be concerned about getting her married maybe. But it doesn't end there. Afterwards, he'll be concerned about her having kids. Now, my mother's worry is her granddaughter should have a kid. I told, that's not your business. See, your kids, they got married, they got settled, and now they also had grandchildren, and then grandchildren also got married. Now, if you start worrying about grandchildren having kids, then see, this is how it works. You're always focusing on something that you don't have. Everything is going perfectly in life, but one granddaughter doesn't have a kid, and you're so much focused on that. And suddenly, she was diagnosed with cancer now. And she's undergoing treatment. But then, all the while, she took her health for granted. Isn't it? This is human nature, actually. This is human nature. So the point here is, when we do this exercise that I was speaking about, then we realize that there are so many things that we have to be grateful about. So many things are going right in life. And so many things in due course of time, as the weeks pass by, then you start realizing that I never realized that I have to be grateful for this also, and this also, and this also, and this also. Because then for 21 days you have to write 3 unique things. So you have to really go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So when you do it, that gratitude will rewire us to become positive once again. So this is true even in the field of psychology. See, but in the modern self-help circles, when they speak about gratitude, they speak in a very vague way. If you hear it's not, even self-help gurus, they speak a lot about gratitude. But then they say, I'm grateful for the air that I breathe. I'm grateful for the water that I drink. And it's great. It's very good to be grateful. But then, Sanskrit is such a beautiful language that what is the Sanskrit word for gratitude? Kritagnya. And for ingratitude, it is Kritagya. Kritagya. So Kritagya means what? You are conscious, Jna, of Krita, for what somebody has done for you. You are always conscious, you always remember what somebody has done for you. So implicit within the word Kritagya is understanding that you are grateful for someone for having done something for you. The word gratitude in English is you can be just grateful without being very specific, without directing that feeling of gratitude towards anybody in particular. But the word Kritagya, implicit within it is understanding that you have to be conscious, you should be remembering what somebody has done for you. That's the meaning of the word Kritagya. What somebody has done for you, you are always conscious of it, you always remember it. So implicit within it is the understanding that somebody is doing something for you. So you can't simply say that I am grateful for the air I breathe. If you have to be grateful in Sanskrit, the question naturally arises, to whom you are grateful for giving you the air? You are forced to bring in God. While you are being grateful, you have to thank God for the so many gifts that He is providing us. And when you are grateful to God, when you are thankful to God, that is the beginning of the spiritual journey. And oftentimes it happens that even when we are practicing devotees, we tend to forget this particular principle of gratitude, and we tend to fail to acknowledge what we already have. That thing is that somebody here was telling about moment to moment, and it's very much true in the sense that we need to count our blessings. We need to thank God for the opportunity for following the spiritual path, in addition to all the other material benedictions that He's providing. And if you have that kind of a consciousness, we will find that even the life of a sadhaka can be very joyful. In fact, Bhakti Yoga specifically is about gratitude, is about being grateful. It's about being grateful at every moment. It's about being grateful to Krishna for everything that He is doing for us. To be grateful to Krishna for the opportunity that He is providing to serve Him. And actually, our spiritual path begins with gratitude, being grateful to God for everything that He is doing. And the culmination of the spiritual path is also about gratitude only. Now, according to Srimad Bhagwatam, who is a person who is a perfected soul, who is eligible for liberation from material bondage? Very famous verse from the 10th canto. What is that? Brahmaji's prayer in the 10th canto. Tattenu kampam susamikshamaну bhunjana kritam vipakam pradvag vapurbhir vidhadan namaste jivetayo mukti padesa daya bhak. Isn't it? So Brahmaji is telling who is eligible for liberation from material bondage. He is telling that that person is eligible for liberation from material bondage who is able to express gratitude to God even for the misery and sufferings that come in life. See, our spiritual life begins with being grateful to God for the positive things that He has done for us. Even to do that is a great start. But as we progress on the spiritual path, eventually we have to reach a stage wherein we are not just grateful for the good things that God is doing to us, but we are grateful even for the bad things that happen to us. How can one be grateful for the miseries and sufferings that comes to one's life? So Brahmaji, he says in his prayers, Tattena anukampam susamikshamaну bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam. So a devotee, when a devotee goes through miseries or suffering, he realizes that Atmakritam, whatever is happening is because of the bad activities that I myself have performed in the past. And Krishna is arranging for me to get these reactions in such a way that it will help me in my spiritual development. See, when we start acknowledging the good things that God is doing for us, then slowly but surely we start realizing that God is doing so many things for us, Krishna is doing so many things for us. And when we develop that kind of a mindset, even when some negative things happen in your life, then you understand that if Krishna is allowing this to happen in my life, it must be for my own good. If it were not for my good, Krishna wouldn't have allowed this to happen in my life. Isn't it? Now if Krishangi is very grateful for what what Papa is doing for her, so one day when Papa gives her a slap, he does that sometimes? Never. So suppose Papa slaps her one day, she realizes that if Papa is slapping, it must be for my own good. Because she is always conscious that whatever Papa has done for me all through is for my own good. And he has been doing so many nice things for me. Now why will he do something which is for my harm now? If he's harming me in some way, it should be for my own good. Why she'll come to this conclusion? Because she has properly acknowledged all the good things that Papa has been doing for us all through. Isn't it? So similarly, on the path of God consciousness also, the journey begins with thanking God for everything that He has given. And as we progress, we are so grateful to God, we can be grateful even for the negative things that come in life. We understand that ultimately not a blade of grass can move without the will of God. And if this suffering and misery has come into my life, it is because of His sanction. And if He has sanctioned this, it must be for my own good. So this is the consciousness of a devotee. And see, even from a materialistic perspective, all these self-help gurus like Tony Robbins and all, what they are shouting at the top of their lungs. Try to see even curses as blessings. Easily said than done. Only a devotee can actually see curses as blessings, because he has so much of trust in God. He has so much of trust in God's plan. So here, Brahmaji says something very interesting, that a devotee who is eligible for liberation, he thanks God in the face of misery and suffering. How does he thank? Rit Vak Vapur Bhir. Rit means with the heart, Vak means with the word, and Vapu means with the body. With the body to thank God in the face of misery and suffering, it's not easy, but it is relatively easy, isn't it? So when we go through some negative phase in life, despite having taken to the spiritual path, we still go to the temple and we bow down in front of God. Hopefully so. Some people stop going to God because, I have been doing so much of bhakti, I have been doing so much of spirituality, still some bad things are happening to me. Why should I continue going to the temple? But still, if you continue going to the temple, that is it's a wonderful thing. Actually, when my eldest sister, she is a devotee. Now she is initiated also. But she was a very nice practitioner. And then her 21-year-old boy was detected with 4th stage cancer, chondrosarcoma. And I did some R&D and I found that he won't be able to live for long. So I told one of the senior devotees of the temple that this is the case. And he told, this is going to be a big test for your sister, because her faith will be solidly shaken now. So she may or may not survive on the spiritual path. But kudos to her, she survived. She, in fact, I would say she grew through the ordeal. He died within a year or year and a half. It was very tough. Even now it is tough, after so many years after he has passed away. But still, she has remained steadfast. But then, Brahmaji is telling, we should be able to thank God with the body words and heart. Body is relatively easy. With the words, it's little more difficult. So even my sister, she is way more advanced than I am. But nonetheless, sometimes she says, it comes out of her mouth, unbidden. So she says, oh, if Krishna wanted, he could have saved my son, and my son could have lived. She tells, it's natural for a mother to say that. So why I am telling this is to actually thank God in the face of misery and suffering. With the words is more difficult, and with the heart is difficult still. It's still more difficult with the heart. It's the hardest. Because somewhere within the heart we'll feel, why God is doing this to me. But somebody who can do it is actually eligible for liberation. So it's a very long way to go. So that is why the Srimad Bhagavatam is filled with stories of people, of devotees who could actually do it. There is a story of Maharaj Indradimna which comes in the 8th canto. Correct? Indradimna Maharaj, he was totally devoted to God, and after he retired from kingship, he went to the forest, built a hermitage, and he was wrapped in meditation on God, in Samadhi. And one day when he was wrapped in Samadhi, Agastya Muni comes there. And when Agastya Muni comes, Indradimna Maharaj is so wrapped in attention on God that he can't figure that somebody has come. And Agastya Muni, he feels that Indradimna Maharaj is deliberately trying to put him down. So he gets angry. And he curses Indradimna Maharaj that you become an elephant. And then Indradimna Maharaj, he realizes. See, can you imagine? Now you have renounced the world and you are totally absorbed in God with wanting to attain perfection. You are on the cusp of liberation from material bondage. And suddenly you are being cursed to become an elephant. Not even a human form of life. Not even a human form of life to continue your spiritual journey. You have been cursed to become a dumb elephant. But the beauty is, Indradimna Maharaj, he understands that this is good for me, and is able to thank God in that situation. Total trust in God. If Krishna has allowed this to happen, it must be for my good. See, a lot of times, long after the episode of reversal, the suffering or miseries, when we look back, we realize, actually it was for my good. It happens, isn't it? We have crossed it and many years have passed. And in retrospect, when we see, it was actually for my good. But when you are actually going through it, it is very difficult to be grateful. It is very difficult to thank God. So all these characters in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Indradimna Maharaj, and then there is Chitraketu Maharaj, who comes in the 6th canto. On the spot, they are able to thank God, and that's their qualification. Now, of course, Indradimna Maharaj, he became an elephant, Gajendra, and then, a crocodile attacks him, and then when he feels that he's going to die, then he suddenly remembers his prayers from his previous life. Immediately, Lord Vishnu comes. But actually, when Indradimna Maharaj was cursed, he didn't know the future. That in the future this is what is going to happen? No, he didn't know. But still he had total trust in God. Total trust in God. Right? If Krishna is doing this, it must be for my good. So that is why these stories are very important in the Bhagavatam. See, in most other Puranas, it's all about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha in the other Puranas. And when it's about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, so the stories are, this fellow had some trouble, he worshipped this Devata, and then the trouble went away, or he gained material prosperity. But in the Bhagavatam, it's not about material prosperity. The stories are about losing material prosperity. The stories are about getting into trouble. But because the raw reality of this world is, it's not a bed of roses. The material world is not a bed of roses. So Srimad Bhagavatam speaks facts. So the Bhagavatam is about finding blessings in curses. Turning curses into blessings through our attitude, through our consciousness. right? Externally things might go right, externally things may not go right. That is beyond our control. Sometimes it is within our control, sometimes it is beyond our control. But changing our consciousness, our attitude in such a way that we are able to turn all curses into blessings. That's real empowerment. And such a person cannot be shaken under any difficulties of life. That's what Krishna also says, no, in the future verses. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate. Yasmin stato na dukkena guruna vichale. He says, this I think it's already covered. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata. Yasmin stito na dukkena guruna vichale. Explained. Established thus, one never departs from the truth. And upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So, actually these verses, they point towards Bhakti Yoga only. And Prabhupada just makes it more explicit in his translation. Even though Krishna keeps this principle hidden in the verse, Prabhupada brings this to the light. And that's why in text number 28 he says, thus the self-controlled yogi constantly engaged in yoga practice becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. So Prabhupada brings in service to God, even though explicitly it is not mentioned in the verse per se. Isn't it?
Prabhuji, why would Krishna want to implicitly keep it hidden here rather than expressing it profoundly? Or is it that the devotee has to take that effort to understand and then
Yeah, there are different ways to understand this. One way to understand it is Krishna is attracting different kinds of people. Some become attracted towards the Gita's teachings because of the Karma Yoga. Some become attracted because of Jnana. Some are attracted because of Dhyana, that is spoken about. And once they come, then they can all be directed towards the ultimate instruction of Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. And just to attract different kinds of people, Krishna has used Upanishadic language in the Gita, which is a little bit cryptic, not exactly black and white. Another thing is also that Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhayam Mahajano Yanagadasapanta. Krishna doesn't tell things explicitly because he wants to glorify his devotees. It's like Krishna, when Yudhishthira at the end of the war of Kurukshetra, Yudhishthira was lamenting that I am the cause of the death of so many people. And actually he was just playing his role. And Pandavas were always on the side of Dharma. And apparently when Krishna tried to convince Yudhishthira that you are not actually at fault. It was not your fault, it was the fault of the Kauravas. Externally Krishna was trying to convince Yudhishthira, but internally he didn't want Yudhishthira to get convinced. Why? Because he wanted to glorify Bhishma Dev. So that Yudhishthira doesn't get convinced and he goes to Bhishma Dev, who is lying on the bed of arrows on the warfield. And through Bhishma Dev's instructions, Yudhishthira gets convinced. So Krishna wanted to glorify Bhishma Dev. That's why he doesn't explicitly explain Yudhishthira. Similarly, in our case also, Krishna is not explicit. Why? Because let the credit go to his devotees. Because Krishna wants to glorify his devotees. Isn't it? Okay. Anything else? Okay then. I'll stop my class here. We have some short kirtan. Any questions anybody has?
How do we balance detachment
How do you balance detachment with responsibility? Yoga karmasu kaushalam. So, it is the art of work. Krishna calls it the art of work. To be able to, and see, first of all, when it comes to any art, you can master art through practice. So one way in which we can do this, like, I had given this example maybe earlier, a tightrope walk. See, this Prabhupada gave this example that in rural India, not now, but in the olden days, ladies used to bring water from far away, and they used to have so many pots of water one on top of the other, and they're able to balance it all while bringing the water. And while they're bringing the water, while balancing all the pots on their head, simultaneously they're discussing gossip with the other woman. Nowadays they discuss gossip on WhatsApp. The gossip is the same. So how they are able to do it? Through practice. Similarly, this balance also through practice. That's one way of understanding it. Another thing is through elevating our consciousness. See, suppose all of us, we all love our mobile phone, and we handle with care with our mobile phone, isn't it? We keep it carefully, and but then sometimes we are a little careless. We keep it here, we keep it there. But then suppose I give my mobile phone to Tarunji and I tell him that I'll be back in 2 hours. Just keep this mobile phone with you. Now Tarunji will take care of my mobile phone with more care than his own mobile phone, is it not? Yeah. So he'll think that okay, it's not my mobile phone, it has been handed to me under my care. I have to take proper care of it. At the same time, after 2 hours, when I come to take back my mobile phone, you won't say that it's my mobile phone now. Will you say that? You won't say it for 2 hours, I took care of it, now it's mine. No. You'll give me back my mobile phone. Isn't it? So you're detached. At the same time, you're responsible. Because you're conscious that this mobile phone doesn't belong to me. So similarly, when we actually develop the consciousness that everything that exists in this world is a property of God. Everything belongs to God. Anusha also belongs to Krishna. Isn't it? When you feel that Anusha belongs to me, then you will have expectations. Anusha should behave properly. Every day morning she should bow down to me. She bows down to you? No. But you may not have that kind of expectation in today's world. But some kind of expectations will be there. When you think that I'm taking care of her, and I made her such a big girl now. This is minimum. See, subconsciously all these attachments develop. It won't happen consciously. Subconsciously we develop many attachments because we always think that I am doing this. This she belongs to me. That kind of a consciousness. But if you are always conscious that she is actually God's child, not theoretically, but actually you realize it in your bones, then what will happen is, you'll perfectly take care of her and you'll make sure that she's well taken care of and you're protecting her in every possible way, but you won't have any expectations. No expectations means detachment. Attachment is more expectations. So there won't be any expectations. Because you realize that, anyway she didn't belong to me. And actually, this is very interesting. See, what is the definition of Karma Yoga? Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudyasya vigatachvara. Third chapter Krishna says. Do everything as a service to me. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa. With the consciousness of a sannyasi. And what is the consciousness of a sannyasi? Nirashir. Asha means desire. Selfish desire. Nirasha. No selfish desire. Nirmamo. So Karma Yoga is not simply about selflessness and offering the results of our activities to God, but also developing the consciousness of Nirmama. The consciousness of Nirmama is actually I am not the doer. I am simply an instrument in the hands of God. So a lot of times what happens is people might try to develop some kind of selflessness in this world. So that's why in the modern day world we find a lot of people who are into philanthropy. They have earned enough, now they want to give it to others. But still they cannot be called karma yogis. Because they might develop some kind of selflessness, which is also very rare. Oftentimes it's all, gimmicks to gain some branding and things like that. But even if they are selfless, still a lot of times they have this mamatva, the attitude that I am the person giving in charity, I am the person taking care of all these people. And when you have that consciousness that I am the doer, I am the person doing good to others, naturally you will start expecting, if not something material, you at least start expecting that these people should be grateful to me for what I am doing to them. And that's a subtle attachment. At a very gross level, you might be detached. That's why you're parting with the money that you have or the resources that you have. At a gross level, you might be detached. But at a subtle level, you're attached. Because you're expecting some acknowledgement. You're expecting them to be grateful to you, maybe. Something at some level. And this happens even in parenting. May not be at a gross level. You may not expect your children to earn money and give it back to you. But at a certain level, you expect them to maybe, at some level, some acknowledgement or. So the point here is, when you actually understand that I am not the doer, it's actually Krishna is the doer. Krishna is the person who is taking care of everybody. He is using me as an instrument, that's all. I am just an instrument. I can't take credit. I am not the doer. Krishna is the doer. When you have that consciousness, that is nirmamo attitude. The nirmamo attitude is there's no egoism there. Egoism means I am the person doing it. Without egoism, when you have no ego, then there is no question of attachment at all. So rather than expecting the beneficiary to be grateful to you, you are grateful to the beneficiary. Why you are grateful to the beneficiary? You are grateful to the beneficiary because this fellow has given me an opportunity to serve. This fellow has given me an opportunity to serve God. Rather than expecting Anusha to thank you for everything that you are providing, you will thank Anusha every morning. Through you, I am getting an opportunity to serve Krishna. I am able to express my gratitude. I am able to serve Krishna by taking care of you. You are getting my point, Tarunji? And if you are thanking Anusha every single day, where is the question of becoming attached or entangled or having any expectations? Because expectation means, the other person has to give you something. But you are already grateful for what that person is doing to you. There is no question of attachment. There is no question of expectation. So developing this consciousness is key. That everything belongs to God and God is the only doer. These two things. He is the supreme proprietor of everything and He is the only doer and I am simply an instrument. If you develop these two consciousness, these two things, you will never become entangled, you will never become attached. You will be able to happily balance responsibility and detachment. Okay? Any other questions?
Prabhuji, like you said, pray regularly so that we can become. Is not that so? We are imposing something on us. That I'm positive, I'm grateful. Like when we become Krishna conscious, we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we become purified. So it's natural we become grateful. So is that so important that we need to write?
No, I'm not recommending that you start writing every day. See, the point here is all of these qualities. Krishna is supremely grateful. See, all these qualities originate from Krishna himself. Krishna is supremely grateful. See, there is this thing in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami, he says that when, this in Atat Sabha, when Draupadi, she was insulted. When Draupadi was insulted in the gambling arena, she really called out to Sri Krishna. And in response, Krishna supplied her unlimited sari and protected her. You all know this story from the Mahabharata. Now, naturally, Draupadi should be grateful to Krishna, right, for protecting her. But what is Krishna's mindset? Actually, Krishna is grateful to Draupadi for calling out his name with so much of love. And Krishna is thinking that Draupadi called out to me with so much of affection. She called out to me with so much affection that I am indebted to her. And the debt is increasing by the day. I don't know how to pay back this debt. That's how Krishna is supremely grateful. When we chant his names with affection, Krishna is so grateful. Even the small things that we do, he is so grateful. Kritagnya. What is Kritagnyata? Anything that the other person does, you never forget. Krishna never forgets even a small devotional activity that we perform in our life. You know this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes on his tour to South India, he goes to that place of Saptatal. So this Saptatal, they had offered service to Lord Ramchandra in Treta Yuga. Right? When Ramchandra had to prove to Bali that he is very powerful enough, he had shot an arrow through these 7 tal trees. So as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes and he embraces all these 7 tal trees, and right in front of everybody's eyes, these 7 tal trees attain liberation. Krishna never forgets even a small passive service. These tal trees didn't stand in line, I want to render service. They are used by Lord Ram, but Lord Ram considered that these people offered me service, I have to take them to Vaikuntha. So Krishna is supremely grateful. So the soul, being part and parcel of Krishna, is naturally grateful. But right now, the eternal soul is covered over by the material mind, the material body, and because of that, the nature of the soul is hidden. So as we grow on the path of self-realization, all these qualities naturally arise. So that is why when we attain perfection, when we attain spiritual realization, a self-realized person is naturally grateful, supremely grateful. A pure devotee is supremely grateful. But nonetheless, all these qualities which originally belongs to the soul, they will shine forth as we progress on the path of self-realization. At the same time, we should also try to cultivate them in whatever way possible. Like with humility, like with tolerance. So, when we become self-realized, naturally we will become humble. But doesn't mean now I don't feel like becoming humble, let it be. No. We should try to proactively, to the best possible capacity, try to be humble. Tarunji is very happy when I told you this. We should try to be humble. So we should try to be tolerant. So similarly, we should try to be grateful. So ultimately, the soul is naturally grateful, humble, tolerant, everything. But on the path of self-realization also, we can proactively cultivate these qualities in our own small way. So proactively we can cultivate gratitude. If not through this method of writing 3 things every single day, we should make it a point to thank God. And that's an integral part of prayers. So the etiquette is when we come in front of God, rather than beginning with you help me with this, help me with that, we begin with thanking God for what He has already given. That's the protocol for offering prayers also, isn't it? Alright? Okay.
So,
Oh.
Prabhuji, I was just asking that should we start it like a practical giveaway for the class for the next 21 days that everybody should write 3 acknowledgements of gratitude to somebody and then see how it goes, and does it really help in getting that quality of gratitude really ingrained?
Yeah, 100%. It will help everybody. This exercise will help everybody. Devotees all the more, because when we are on the path of spirituality, we are blessed with so many things, and unless we acknowledge it, see this one thing. The law of nature is if you are not grateful, that thing will be taken away from you. See, it's called atrophy, isn't it?
Diminishing in size.
Yeah, it's atrophy only when for example, if your hand is under a cast for a fracture, once the cast is removed, you have partially lost the functionality of the hand unless you go through physiotherapy. Why you have lost it? Because you didn't use it, you didn't appreciate it. Because you didn't appreciate the existence of the hand, that faculty will be taken away from you. Anything that we don't appreciate, if you don't appreciate your spouse, then you will lose your spouse.
Not so easy.
Yeah. See, this is a law of nature. If you don't appreciate, you'll lose it. Appreciation means what? Gratitude. So similarly, the blessings that we have, if we don't, if you're not grateful for it, being grateful means what? We appreciate that thing in our life, and we fail to do it, the law of nature is going to be taken away from us. So as devotees especially, we need to count our blessings. So it's a great exercise for devotees. 21 days.
Even negative things also.
Why negative? The things. Let's start with positive things. Let's start with positive things. To be grateful for negative things is a very, very high level. Let's start with at least being grateful for positive things. Anything else? Okay. Okay, you were raising your hands before us.
So Prabhuji, this is around the whole piece on mindfulness. In spirit, I feel like yes, we should practice it. It's the right thing to do. But the kind of lives that we lead on a daily basis, so much of professional, personal demands, constant stimulation, constantly you are on the go, something or the other coming up. Somehow to get into a day-to-day practice is really difficult. It can happen like once in a week, once in a month, but to say that I'm mindful every day and I'm in that moment where I am, somehow it feels easier said than done. Any thought, suggestion on how can we make it as part of the lifestyle?
Okay, you chant Hare Krishna?
Sometimes, not
Yeah.
all the time.
See, chanting Hare Krishna is a very good way of developing mindfulness. I'll tell you how. First of all, when you're chanting Hare Krishna, the entire practice is about keeping the mind on the mantra. That's what mindfulness is all about, being in the present. So when you're chanting Hare Krishna, it's all about, at one level it's all about practice. So mantra meditation is all about practicing to keep the mind on the present mantra. You're chanting Hare, you're focusing on Hare, you're chanting Krishna, you're focusing the mind on Krishna. So naturally, you're training the mind to be in the present, you're training the mind to be more mindful. Okay, at one level. See, at another level, Krishna explains the science of the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Tamo guna is about being lost in the past. A tamasic person is always lamenting, oh, it should have happened like this, oh, it should have happened like that, this shouldn't have happened, that shouldn't have happened. Something has happened. Can you do anything about it? You can't do much about it. So a tamasic person tends to get lost in the past. A rajasic person tends to race ahead into the future. So a rajasic mind races into the future, tamasic mind gets hung in the past. and a sattvic mind stays in the present. See, the mind can be either in the past, or it can be in the future, or it can be in the present. Mindfulness means what? Being in the present. What pushes the mind to the future is Rajoguna. What drags the mind to the past is Tamoguna. So in order for us to organically be mindful, we have to come more and more to the level of Sattva-guna. See, if your consciousness is in Rajoguna and Tamoguna, and there is very little Sattva-guna in you, you might be kind of, as a practice, you might be able to keep the mind in the present. But the natural propensity of the mind is to run towards the past or future. You get my point here. For the mind to naturally stay in the present, the Sattva-guna in you has to increase. And for that, chanting of Hare Krishna brings your mind to Sattva-guna very quickly. So you should start chanting Hare Krishna. So in two ways it is going to help. As an exercise and another at a deeper level. It will bring your mind to Sattva-guna, which will help you remain in the present more. Okay? Mataji?
My question is, in order to get liberation from the material world, do we have to give up on this world and our household duties?
No, don't give up your household duties. So, see, the Gita is all about liberation from material bondage from a certain perspective, isn't it? That's what it is about. So, but then to whom was it spoken to? It was spoken to Arjuna, who, after hearing the Gita, he fought. He didn't give up his prescribed duty. So Gita is all about being a part of this world, at the same time working towards perfection from material bondage. You're understanding? If the Gita was spoken to a hermitage in the forest, then people will think that okay, it's meant for people who have given up the world. But deliberately, Arjuna was made the first recipient of the Gita to make it very clear to people that Gita is for somebody who is very much involved in the world. In fact, Arjuna wanted to escape. And Krishna says, no, you can't. You can't give up your prescribed duties. You have to fight. And while fighting, you have to make spiritual progress. That's what this is all about. See, many times people feel that, we can't balance spiritual life and material life. Taking to spiritual life means you have to discontinue with material life. And then they feel that after retirement, I'll take to spiritual life. See, we do anything in this, naturally we do something because we gain some taste out of it. If you don't enjoy doing something at some level, you won't continue doing it. So, people who think like this, who think that after retirement I take to spiritual life, because I won't be able to balance material life and spiritual life. After retirement also they will continue looking for material activity only. Why? Because they have not developed taste for spiritual life. During their younger days, they have never developed taste for spiritual life. Suddenly after retirement, from where will taste for spiritual life descend? Not possible. So while we are very much part of this world, see, the truth of the fact is we can't give up material life suddenly. Because we are deriving taste out of it. We are enjoying it. Something that we are enjoying, can we give it up? We can't. So the smart thing to do is, along with your material life, you start advancing your spiritual life also side by side. And then you slowly start developing taste in spiritual life also. So by the time you retire, when you are not able to continue with your material responsibilities because the mind is weak, because the body is weak, you have a higher taste in spiritual life to take to spiritual life completely. So the whole trick here is to balance material life and spiritual life. That's what Karma Yoga is all about. Karma means what? Activity. Yoga means what? Spirituality. Balancing spirituality and material life is Karma Yoga. And the Gita's main teaching is Karma Yoga only. Isn't it? So the Gita's teaching is balancing these two things, which is very important. Somebody else had some question? Yes.
Prabhuji, it is after coming to spiritual life, it is easy to thankful in even for the all troubles or negativity.
but still it is difficult to be good with the people who has given you negativity or trouble. So how we get that in that particular case, how we trick our minds.
Yeah. So that's hard. So Krishna also in the Gita he says that, right? Samaloshrashma kanchana. One level of spiritual progress is to be able to see pebbles, stone and gold on the same level. But somebody is further advanced. Suran mitrar yudasina madhyasya dveshya bandhushu sadhush abhichapapeshu samabuddhir visheshate. Higher still is to be able to see friends, well-wishers, mediators all on an equal level, and even enemies on an equal level. See, when it comes to situations or the things of this world, it's a one-way emotion. We don't like it. But those situations or those things don't have the capacity to dislike us. So the emotions flow in one direction. But when it comes to people, the emotions flow in two directions. So the emotions are more intense. So that is why to develop that kind of an equipoised attitude towards people is hard. So we have to pray to God and try our best and not be discouraged. There is no shortcuts to it. It's indeed a little difficult. Okay, thanks.
So, Prabhuji, pray to God that good that they came into my life. Yes. Pray to God in that way, that okay, because they have come now, I am going closer to you.
Yeah, that's a good way of. Yeah, that's a good way of viewing the situation. That's a good way of going about it. If we can see it as an opportunity to go closer to God, it's a nice point. But it's not easy. But see, the whole point here is negativity. So if we are very regular with our spiritual practices, then we'll be able to transcend them, these fleeting emotions. We don't succumb to them. To the extent we are absorbed in our spiritual practices, to that extent we are able to float above the negativity that might surround us. To the extent our absorption isn't strong in spiritual practices, to that extent we get succumbed to the negativity that surrounds us. Negativity is there in the material world, but we'll be able to overcome it is a long way to go. Let's begin with transcending it. Transcending it means what? We don't allow it to affect us. At least we don't allow these negativities to influence us to act in negative ways. So that is about transcending. And then eventually we'll be able to overcome also in the course of time. Okay. Okay, we'll end here. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Keep it in the beginning.
5 minutes.
5 minutes will have. Only Narsimarti?
We'll have Kirtan and Narsimha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Praladadayine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatankanathalai. Hito Narsimha, Parato Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Mahir Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha. Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye. Tavakara Kamala Varena Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhenga Keshavadhita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Narasimhadev,
Jaya Narasimhadev, 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 Jaya Narasimhadev.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
सर्वे मन शत लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की।
Yeah.